Hi, welcome to Infusion Health, the podcast. I'm comedian Chris Patrick, aka self-proclaimed Palmer, and I'm here with my co-host and significant other, Rach.
Hey guys.
Now today, recently here in Minnesota, Minneapolis, they've passed a bill for the use of recreational marijuana. They haven't. It's gotten through the first stage. It hasn't been finalized yet. But they have passed, and that's a good thing. But it's also a bad thing, as you know, because of the people we've had on, like Bridget and Damar, about who actually sell CBD. But today we got Rochelle here, and she's calling in from Columbus, Ohio, and she's going to talk to us about the truth about CBD and essential oils. So I'm just going to bring her on the show. Rochelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. So we're talking about the truth about essential oils and CBDs and CBD. What can you tell us about what are some truths about this about CBD and essential oils? And as you know, Rach has been a big advocate of essential oils for the last 5 years? 5 for the last 5 years.
Yeah. Well, yes, I can tell you that I've used essential oils myself, and it sounds like I've come across them similar to the way Rachel has. Mm-hmm. And it, for me, was life-changing when I found them. Before I did, I thought they were hocus pocus. Really didn't believe that they would change anything in my life. I felt the same way, similar about CBD. But for the last, 10, maybe 15 years, my family and I have become true believers that Eastern medicine and the holistic lifestyle is the right choice. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that I am terminally ill. I have completely outlived my life expectancy, and we owe it to essential oils and CBD. So I've struggled with pain. I've struggled with my thyroid. I've struggled with so many challenges. And what I can tell you is that the research and all of the studies out there have mixed messages. Yes. So it is hard to really believe that essential oils make a difference. Mm. And for me, it was just sticking my toe in the water, if you will. Mm-hmm. And it was a little bit at a time. I started with diffusing, and I started with just smelling essential oils and feeling the uplifting aroma and feeling my attitude change, feeling the effects of breathing it in and knowing that I went from being a total grouch and totally upset with my children to having kind of an ease, a peace of mind about the end of the day and not feeling like I just wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. Right. And knowing what the power of certain blends and certain mixes could do. Yeah. And then it became other people coming over and saying, wow, I feel different when I leave your house, or I feel uplifted, or I don't feel as snappy. Right. And seeing that change in other people, I started to believe there was a difference. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then starting to buy encapsulated oils or encapsulating oils myself. And it was really about using them with myself and in trial and error, if you will. And then after I became comfortable with that, doing a lot of research, really digging into the science of oils and the difference between what each oil could do, and the power of them. And once I became educated, starting to be able to share that knowledge with other people, and knowing what each oil could do. And then the research out there is becoming stronger.
Yeah. And I think it needs to be.
It does. It really does, because what you do here is a lot of medical research that may say, oh, that doesn't work, mm-hmm. or it's not FDA approved, because they're so busy approving other things for medications. Yeah. So they can't they can't necessarily approve every essential oil company out there in the way they would approve a medication, because there are so many. I mean, at the end of, they're expecting the growth to be and put us in a market range where essential oils will be in 2030 at a growth rate of 7.9% over where we are today. And where we are right now is at $21.79 billion, which is pretty astounding when you think about the sales. And it was really COVID that jumped us over that mark, because people started looking for their own remedies. And the antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties alone, and antibacterial and antifungal, and even antiparasitic, people are looking for being able to handle things on their own, if you will, and not have to run to the doctors every 2 minutes, or not have to take a pill for everything. It seems nowadays you go to the doctor and you may be healthy and you walk out with 3 prescriptions. Yes. And that's not the lifestyle choice that everybody wants.
And something to be said about those prescriptions. I was just recently watching an episode on The Resident, and the woman was given one medication and she was having side effects to that medication. So they gave her a pill for the side effect, and she was having side effects to that medication. So they gave her another pill for that side effect. She ended up with 10 bottles just for original diagnosis, and the diagnosis wasn't right. And
oh my gosh.
Right. And I'm sorry to say, but sometimes that happens because we trust our doctors so much, and the conversation has to be said. My primary doctor, before she even became my primary doctor, knew I went into holistic medicine, and I would explore holistic medicine before then. And I think my story is a lot of what other people go through, which is my primary before her wanted me to have bariatric surgery.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a little overweight, but nowhere near needing a bariatric surgery. And she would not even entertain any holistic.
Wow. She's very close-minded.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, sorry to interrupt you. I think...
No, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear your story. And it's unfortunately a story I hear too often.
Right, exactly. Another thing that I think that the research needs to be there for is so that the doctors see, not just Big Pharma sees, that the right essential oil, the right CBD can do numerous changes in mental health and personal health. And there's so many companies coming out right now that some of them are putting things in there that don't belong in there, and they're not being regulated. So I think the research also has to show that it has to be a pure essential oil in CBD.
You're absolutely right. And that's one of the things I was going to say. I think the essential oils are a little bit more monitored, and there is a little bit cleaner marketplace in essential oils. And CBD is a little bit, they're both in a situation where they're challenged in the regulation. But the CBD market is a little bit more challenged than essential oils. And I think because it's sought after differently, and it's in the hemp and CBD market space. Yeah. And with the approval of the medical marijuana in a lot of states, I know Ohio is a medical marijuana state as well. It's not a recreational marijuana state at this point. It's gotten vastly improved with the CBD market. If you can go in and purchase CBD through the dispensaries. If you are in the situation that you can do that, though, it's challenging.
Well, let's talk about CBD, because most people, and we've done shows on this before, but let's talk about CBD, because CBD, when most people think CBD, they think pot, they think marijuana or something like that.
Yeah.
So let's clarify. CBD is what?
CBD is it's cannabinoid oil. Comes from the same. It comes from a plant that produces the oil, the cannabinoid oil.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not have the psychoactive effects that THC does.
Mm-hmm.
So it is in essence the same plant, but it's isolated differently and it's grown differently. So it doesn't have the cross pollination that THC does.
Mm-hmm.
So in a strictly laboratory environment where it's grown, it can be grown where CBD does not contain THC.
Mm-hmm.
And in some environments, it contains less than the regulated amount. So it's like 0.3 or 0.03. I can't remember the exact number.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on that. But in those situations, as long as it's below that number, it's safe to consume now, or to use. It's used in beauty products. It's used in pain rubs. It's used in so many different facets.
Mm-hmm.
It can be an amazing product. I know I have it in some skincare. I have it in my rubs for my joints, for my severe arthritis that I have, and I swear by it, and I share it whenever I can. I get samples of it from the company I use that I trust, that has it's a sustainable company, so they are replacing what they use from the environment. So I feel good about that, and I'm also able to say, look, I'm not going to fail a drug screen, or whoever I share it with is not going to fail a drug screen if they're concerned about that. But what I can say is, in the marketplace, there are situations that CBD sometimes is not as clean. Right. So when you are recommending CBD to someone, you have to know the product and where it comes from.
Right. Yeah, and that was my next thing I wanted to say, because when it comes to CBD, there's a lot of places that sell CBD. I mean, heck, some places here you can get it in the gas station. Yeah. I don't think you want to get your CBD from the gas station, and definitely not Walmart. Okay. So,
no.
Because that's what they do. These companies come in and go, oh yeah, we'll just put it in the gas station. We'll put it in Walmart, and what you think you're getting, you're not really getting, and it's probably a very, very low. So the best thing to do is to buy it from somebody reputable, somebody you know about, or somebody, you could talk to people and find out who has the best CBD. But gas stations and Walmart, I definitely stay away from.
Well, I think it's also important, even though, and we talked about not getting you high, but I think it's also on the other side where CBD from these other companies like Walmart and gas stations and even some pharmacies, might not get you high. So you're thinking, oh, this is the right one, but they have fillers.
Yeah.
And the regulations right now say that we don't have to tell you what those fillers are.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have to list the ingredients. They don't have to list. And that's one thing I would share is always feel free to reach out to a company and ask for ingredients. And if they don't share them, don't use the product.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not getting a clean product.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can say there are prominent players out in the market that provide really clean, good products. So don't be scared to ask for that information, and really do some research before you get into it. Because when you do find a good, clean product, it's so valuable. It's such a great resource, and it can give you such amazing benefits. It's so worth it.
Mm.
It does take a little homework, and just finding a good wellness coach or a good essential oil person it just takes searching someone's profile or finding someone out there that knows about it. or talking to a friend who may have someone in hand that they've worked with.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like,
it really can make a difference.
That's like with me, with working out. It's like you go into a vitamin store and there's 50 different brands of whey protein, and a lot of that stuff, like you said, they add different fillers in it and stuff like that. Oh, you can buy in bulk and all that, and then that's just more filler and stuff like that. So it's the same thing. You got to find out what is a good product to buy, and what is, because sometimes when I worked at like a sporting goods store, they had like whey protein there, but the bottles were all dusty and all that, and I shouldn't have did this, but people came and go, I'm going to buy this. I'm like, you don't want to buy your supplements here. Go to a supplement store. Go to somebody who knows what this stuff's been sitting here forever. You don't even know what you're getting.
And not GNC.
Yeah,
not GNC.
Well, you did the right thing for personal knowledge, right? Yeah. I think you would have probably not lived with yourself if you had sold those. But I understand where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. The one thing I can share is that, CBD changed my arthritis. It changed how I felt. It changed how I was able to move. It changed my swelling in my knee. Mm-hmm. And it's delayed a knee replacement for me. Had I started with something that I didn't know was reputable, I wouldn't be in the same place.
Yeah.
Had I started my essential oil journey with pharmacy essential oils in a clear bottle that were being diluted from the sun and from UV exposure, I wouldn't be where I was today. I wouldn't have the belief and knowledge that they are making a difference in my life and in my family's life. And I wouldn't be, a wellness coach and a lifestyle coach today. I think it's a big difference in your first exposure to the essential oils and to CBD and hemp even. And if you are a marijuana user, even to marijuana. I mean, if you're getting it from a dispensary versus a friend, it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. And so how do you work with somebody? Somebody comes in going, hey, I have this pain, blah, blah, blah. I've been taking this medication the doctor prescribes. I don't really like it. How do you get started in essential oil? What would you say this person take peppermint first, or how would you go about assessing them and then getting them on the right path of what they need to go to?
I would say where they feel most comfortable.
Yeah, it's meeting them where they're comfortable. Sometimes it's about providing them with some samples. If I'm able to do that, I do get samples I order them from my company that I work with. Mm-hmm. And knowing that they're clean, that's something that I do because I believe in the products that I have on hand. If I don't, I tell them, I want you to find essential oils that come in a dark bottle, and a bottle that's amber colored or blue colored, because UV exposure and light will affect that essential oil. And I'll give them names of different companies that are good essential oil companies that I know will be clean. And I'll provide them with, five or six names of companies that I think are clean, and in a variety of price ranges. But also it's important for me that they're sustainable companies, that they're providing back, because it is so depleting of the environment to create essential oils. Mm-hmm. So that's a key thing for me as well, is that company replenishing the resources to the environment that they're taking out. It takes a whole lot of roses to make rose essential oil, and lavender essential oil is insane to make lavender essential oil. Mm-hmm. So it's really about the big picture, in knowing that when I'm making a recommendation to someone, that I'm not just making it from, I think this works, that it's coming from a foundational knowledge. Mm-hmm. So, I'm taking information that I've collected over the years from multiple books. It's not just coming from one source. Right. It's coming from multiple resources of collective knowledge. And that's how I'm making those recommendations, along with my personal usage knowledge. Mm-hmm. And building on that would be how I'd make that recommendation.
Mm-hmm. It's like with CBD, one of the things, like I was never a big marijuana user, not even in the entertainment business, believe it or not. When I used to be in the entertainment business, smoking marijuana never got to me. But when I see the CBD and and I've tried some gummies and stuff like that. But the thing with those gummies, they bring me down way, way down further than I want to be.
little sleepy, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like right now I'm upbeat, but they just brought me down to just like where I just wanted to just like sit there, It's like, nah, I don't really need it. But I know a lot of people who swear by it, if they have trouble sleeping, they swear by CBD, for sleep.
Yeah. It can be very effective for insomnia. It can be, I know we have the oral tincture that is available, but it's about finding the right dosage as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I find gummies to be challenging in any capacity of medication because they're so hard to know how your body is going to digest them and absorb them.
Right.
So sublingual is an easier way to take it. So under the tongue, because it gets into your bloodstream faster and you can control the dosing a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an easier way to take it. And you can really control the dosing differently. So mixing it with MCT oil is another way to control it a little differently, because it absorbs differently in your body. But gummies are challenging, and they're not something I recommend because they are absorbed so differently by everyone. And it really comes down to how quickly you metabolize something, how quickly it digests in your system, and not being a doctor, not being someone who says, you have this condition or you have that condition. I'm very careful about making a recommendation to someone. If they say, I've been to the doctor, they told me I have this condition, then I'm comfortable saying, okay, well, based on what you've told me, I can tell you that these essential oils may help with symptoms. They may help with some relief for you.
Mm-hmm.
And in not offering a cure or not offering medical advice, but offering them assistance, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so important to understand that regulations for essential oils and CBD need to be in place for body weight or size of the person, a little tiny one all the way up to our elderly.
Yes. Especially when it comes to children. I mean, essential oils in children can be toxic mix if you're not very careful. And then even for animals and pets, having, diffuser or having them around pets can be challenging. I know we have a dog and we have reptiles. So it's a little different in our house when our reptiles are on the second floor. So our first floor, we can diffuse pretty liberally. Dogs are it's a big dog, so it's a little bit easier. But our second floor, we have to be very careful because we have 4 bearded dragons. So they have a very limited number of essential oils that can be around. So we can't diffuse in our bedrooms where the bearded dragons are, except for lemon and grapefruit and frankincense, which are not great for sleeping, but except for frankincense, which is a personal favorite of mine, but it's not inexpensive.
Right. No, not frankincense. I think that's another thing that you just hit the nail on the head. They're expensive for a reason, especially if they're reasonably.
The quality ones are.
Right, good quality ones are. And that's why, as Chris said, don't buy them from Walmart. You can get frankincense for $5. That's not frankincense. That is something that should even touch your body, let alone diffuse in the air.
And you're going to have some sort of reaction.
Yeah.
You're going to have a skin reaction. You're going to have a breathing reaction. It's going to be detrimental to your health because it's a perfume and it's got fragrance in it. And that's a toxic environmental hazard.
Yeah.
So it can be kind of scary, and it's such a large market share. It's astounding when you look at it. It just really, the growth, I mean, it's projected to grow so fast. And I mean, it's used in medical, it's used in food and beverage, it's used in spa and relaxation, it's used in cleaning and home. It's so versatile. and even CBD is used in those markets. It's just a really astounding marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's used in pharmaceuticals. And so when it's used in pharmaceuticals, it makes you think we're onto something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. And in Europe and Asia are really the largest marketplace right now, but the U.S. is not far behind.
Now,
it really is
I
growing.
was asked by a patient what I did with my pain. And I said, I use essential oils and CBD. And they're like, but CBD is a gateway drug. What is your thoughts on
Gateway
that?
to what?
Right.
Gateway to what? Gateway to pain relief? I think that's someone's lack of knowledge. I think it's a little bit of misinformation.
Yep.
There is, if that person was introduced to an unclean CBD, maybe it was a gateway. But I think that's naivete, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's because I'm 15 years in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But not with CBD. I'm probably 5 years in with CBD. But like I said, I use CBD in my skincare. It's a beauty serum, if you will. I use the word beauty loosely, but that's what it's called. It's a facial serum. And I have the oral tincture, and then I have a muscle rub cream. And those are my primary uses of CBD. But I have no issue about sharing it and giving it to others. And my husband has a very strict drug policy at his work, and I have no problem with putting it on him or using it, letting him use it. And he's never failed a drug screen. So I don't know how it could be a gateway drug.
Mm. Well, that's the thing too, with it becoming more legalized and more states approving it. There's going to be a lot of copycatters out there, within the future. It's just like a lot of generic brands and stuff like that. And you're going to have to be more aware and more conscious of what you're buying and who you're buying from. So how do you see that as far as the future, as far as all the copycats that are going to be coming out there? Like, hey, we can get in the CBD business.
I think it's a scary place.
Yeah.
And I really think that we need to lean heavy on government regulation and really push for government regulation. And, I hate that we have to do that. I hate it. But if that's the way we have to get it regulated, if that's the way we have to make sure it's clean, then that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
I know getting something through regulation or regulatory efforts in some other countries is not as difficult as it is in the United States. But when it comes to, certain drugs, like when the pandemic started, getting the vaccines through, it went very quickly.
Yeah.
So when it's necessary, they can push things through very quickly. But when it's not, it seems like it takes 10 years.
Right.
And it's very challenging. I think if they just really pushed and said, here are some standards, these are what we expect, and they put a definition around it, it would really define the marketplace and clean things up very quickly. And it's challenging to me that they have gone this far and let it go this long without that. It really lends some discredit to the field, and I don't appreciate that because knowing that there is validity to Eastern medicine. I mean, it's been around before Western has.
Oh yeah,
and it's still going. I mean, I think of all the thieves oil and then all the recipes for copycat thieves oils out there, and the cleaners and how effective they are and how they got their start and how they got their name. And the fact that these were the oils they used to fight off the plague, and the thieves would steal and steal from the dead, and they never got the plague because they used this group of 5 oils on their bodies to protect themselves from the plague. And it's still used today. And back then they didn't have the medications we have today to fight off the germs and the bacteria and the viruses. So I go back and say, look back in time and see what's worked. What have we had success with? And it often takes looking back in history to predict the future. And I think we're going to find that more and more we're going to see the past come back relevant in our future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's hope for that. Because that's the thing with the knockoffs and all that. And how do we, like I said, it's one of those things where you're going to get a lot of generic companies. And what we mean by no regulations is somebody can just, grab a bottle of whatever, put sugar in it and say, oh yeah, CBD, and write CBD on it and have it. And that's really, really ripping off the consumer, because what they think they're getting, they're not getting.
It's just straight theft.
Yeah. And I definitely see that in the supplement market too,
Mm-hmm. And the beauty of a lot of essential oils and CBD even is the gift of turning them into medications and turning them into things that can treat a variety of things. I know there's thyroid medicines and things that can come out of essential oils, and endocrine systems can be treated, and immunity systems can be treated. So there are things that can be changed. I don't know that they can be cured. There are things that can be adjusted by taking certain supplements. Mm-hmm. And you may find that that's hocus pocus, and you may find that you believe in it. And you may say it's a placebo, but at the end of the day, it's about a personal choice. Mm-hmm. And if you go to the doctor and you end up with 10 prescriptions because you walked in with one ailment, that's unfortunate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what is that doing to your health long term? Mm-hmm. I look at the side effects on the advertisements, and it's so scary.
And
I'm
heard this thing on
shocked.
TikTok from this woman from Europe, and she said she never ever seen a commercial on medication until she came to America, and she was
they don't have them in Europe, and they don't have them in Canada.
She was talking about what a happy way to say all the side effects that could scare you.
Yeah.
It is a happy way to say, you're going to have, I heard one that was like, you're going to have greasy stools as a side effect. And I was like, oh dear God. Yeah. What is that? And why would you take it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's disturbing. I mean, and with the condition I have, I tend to have every reaction possible. I mean, I'm allergic to almost every medication on the market. And so if there's a side effect, I don't even read the side effects on a bottle typically, because I have them. I typically end up with the side effect. Mm-hmm. And it's unbelievable. Yeah. So I'm at a point where I'm trying to get off all medications. I can't ever be off all medications. I'm lucky enough to receive plasma, donor plasma, that I give myself through infusions every Friday. I don't necessarily see that as a medication. I see that as a life-saving gift. Mm. But all the equipment that comes with it is just mind-boggling. And I just think about, wouldn't it be so freeing not to have all of this? Wouldn't it be so freeing to not have to take a bunch of pills in the morning and not to have to take all this? So I've actually been working with the Cleveland Clinic in their functional medicine to free myself of that. And they've put me on a gluten-free, dairy-free diet. And I'm allergic to corn, so I don't get corn either. Mm. And I've chosen to go sugar-free. And it has changed everything. Mm. I've been able to drop all my weight for having a thyroid disorder. And it was almost instantaneous. The lifestyle change has really changed a lot for me. I've gotten off of a lot of medications that coupled with the essential oil use and The CBD use has been remarkable. I don't have to take arthritis medicine anymore. I don't have to put arthritis cream on that's not holistic.
Right.
It's been really freeing. I don't have to take any thyroid medication, and I don't have side effects. I don't have weird, freaky things happening with my body.
Yes.
And I went through a really challenging journey before I was diagnosed with my terminal illness, and it was bad. It got really dark, and it was the essential oils that turned everything around.
Yeah.
So it was remarkable.
Yeah.
And I went in saying, I don't really have anything to lose.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't believe it would work. I honest to God, it was just like, it's never going to happen. I mean, I've been to 8 doctors and, been through the ringer. And if they couldn't figure out, why is this little bottle going to help me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Little expensive bottle. Really, that's where I was.
Big, seriously. Yeah, you're no kidding. And I look back, and here my sister was in the essential oil market, and I didn't even go to her. I went to someone else because I was so convinced it wouldn't work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was dead wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Dead wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think if I'd have started a little earlier, but I had to learn the hard way.
Yep.
And I'm finding that a lot of times it takes going through something or having kind of a aha moment yourself to really make the change.
Or even there's got to be something better. There's got to be something better than what I'm sitting in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is it's come to an end. Really interesting conversation, Rochelle, and I'll let Rach close us out.
Well, you guys, we come to an end. I've been wanting to do this with her for so long. I think the first time we reached out to each other was over a year ago.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but it's been great.
Yeah.
But I really wanted you guys to know the truth and really put it in your lives. Until next time, have a great one.
Take it easy.